Good morning everyone, Crypto Lemon speaking. Today is September 22nd and we have some very interesting news. First of all, yesterday we've all witnessed the drop in the crypto market in general. So a lot of DeFi coins went down, Bitcoin gave up almost 4%. And so we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna talk about the great news for stablecoins. Well, it depends, but at least a great regulatory news from the US. Yield farmers make 500% returns, but most can't read smart contracts. So this is a CoinGecko report on the entire DeFi space. Very interesting findings. We'll talk about blockchain gaming and in South Korea. And finally, we'll talk about Brazilian fund managers that made a deal with Nasdaq to launch the first Bitcoin ETF by year end. So let's get to it. So right now the crypto market cap is around $334 billion. So Bitcoin is bouncing a bit back. We're at 10.4K. We reached a low, I think, during the past 24 hours around 10.2K. We have Ethereum that is also a bit bouncing back. So it's nice to see that it's at least stabilizing. Gas just went up from this morning. It's now sitting a bit under 200 Gwei. So about the Monday crash that we can see over here. So we saw that we were around 11K, dropped to 10.2 at the lowest, and now we're back at 10.5. So nothing to be worried about Bitcoin, but other assets, of course, more volatile, have been hit more, including Ethereum. We're gonna talk about it in a few seconds. Liquidation have been quite high for longer leverage trade. It was sitting, I think the total was at $34 million were liquidated on BitMEX. And finally, Ether slipped to $340 more or less. And for the first time, we have something interesting on the option market. It's the implied volatility that has been higher than the realized one over the past since July 14th is now back under the realized volatility. So we have traders are basically expecting potential less upside in Ethereum, and therefore the implied volatility is capped. So what does this mean? It means if you would like to buy call, for example, so an option to bet on Ether going up in the medium to long term, this will be probably less costly than it was just a few weeks back. Big news of the day, SEC and OCC. So OCC, I never heard of it before, but it's the US Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. So it oversees national banks and a bunch of regulation. And what did they announce on Monday? They announced that basically having stable coins is legal. So before, a few months ago, we had the news that banks could hold digital assets, that it will be legal for US banks to do so. Now we have this article and this news from the OCC telling us that banks can actually hold stablecoins, but they can also support companies that create stablecoins as long as they put $1 for $1 of stablecoin created. So this is a huge news, a huge relief for a lot of these coins. So in this article they go on to talk about USDC and the company behind it called Center that was talking with the OCC and the SEC, and basically it just backs the stablecoins with a real USD in the bank. So this is quite positive. You could also see a negative side of it, which is the government is really going into the stablecoin ecosystem. And we have also word from the SEC that said that these stablecoins, so let's say USDT or USDC that are backed by a real dollar, this will not be considered as securities, but they're saying that algorithmic stablecoins. So I would think, for example, DAI or other stablecoins of the sort might be considered as a security. So it's not clear yet for this algorithmic stablecoins, but at least we have positive news on the, let's say, more traditional ones. Yield Farmer makes 500% return, but most can't read smart contracts. So this is a report from CoinGecko, very interesting. If you have time to look at it, it just gives some data. Okay, they just had 1.4k respondents, but what does it tell us? It tells us that actually a lot of people did not go yet in the yield farming craze. It tells us that the people that did go, apparently this I have trouble to believe in, at least that's not what I made as a profit, but 93% will have made a profit higher than 500%, positive ROI. Well, I did not make this, but I went late into the DeFi ecosystem, so maybe they're talking about early adopters. We also see that, of course, as in a lot of investment or crypto-related projects, 90% of DeFi users are male. We also find out that they are on average, where is the age? Yeah, 30 to 60 years old. So this is quite an interesting finding. So of course it's people with capital understanding also crypto and financial instruments. So this is very interesting. And when I look also at other assets that the Yield Farmer had, so they have of course Ethereum, Bitcoin, third one is Chainlink. That's been under a lot of pressure and that I do not believe in, but this is not financial advice, this is just my personal take. They also have a lot of Polkadot, Tron, Litecoin, and I was surprised not to see EOS in this because, as some of you know, I farm a lot on EOS and I find it really easier than on most of the other platforms out there. But well, maybe it will change if they will update this report. So very interesting one, you should look at it. Another topic, we've heard a lot about NFTs lately. And blockchain gaming really bets on NFTs because there's the basis of the entire financial ecosystem of the games. If you cannot sell your NFTs, well, blockchain gaming doesn't have an edge compared to traditional gaming. So the South Korean Game Rating and Administration Committee actually is reviewing one of the big game out there, which is called 5 Stars, and is edited by Sky People. So these are the developers of 5 Stars, and it's backed by Kakao. Kakao has already launched a blockchain in South Korea. And what is the issue? The issue is that the regulator doesn't know if he's gonna give a rating to this game. And if you don't have a rating in South Korea, it is illegal to launch your game. So the regulator did not say they will not give a rating, but the process is taking a lot longer because this is a crypto blockchain game, and the developers and even Kakao behind the project are getting nervous that the regulator could not give them a rating. Otherwise, it's still available on Google Play Store, they claim, but it's just they would like to comply, and they would like South Korean regulator to take into account that in the future there will be a lot of blockchain gaming firms, and that they should allow it and make it easier for these products to be available for the consumer. Last but not least, Brazilian fund manager and Nasdaq to launch world's first Bitcoin ETF. So we've heard a lot about this a few years back. Remember about the Winklevoss twins that tried to launch one, the Wilshire Phoenix and Nice broker Arca also tried, but this time it seems to be happening. So this is a fund manager called Hashdex, which is already familiar to cryptocurrencies, as they have 4 funds, and some of them are already invested in crypto assets. So the fund will be the fund manager will partner with Nasdaq to launch this ETF Bitcoin fund on the Bermuda Stock Exchange for regulatory purposes. But this is very interesting and could bring a lot of institutional money into the space. And I will quote a former Goldman Sachs executive that said earlier this week, I'm going to give you the quoting him, I'm going to give you the biggest front-running opportunity of your lives. They will get an ETF across the line. There will be billions of dollars that pour into it. Every pension plan will allocate some money to it. Every family office will allocate some money to it. And the more the price goes up, the more they will allocate. End of the quote. So this quote is from last week from a top Goldman Sachs executive. And concerning the hashtags ETF, it's supposed to happen by year end. So these are the news for today. Quite a nice regulatory news, except for the blockchain gaming NFT one in South Korea. So overall positive. Stay safe in this market, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. See you guys. Bye bye.